Hey guys, how's it going? My name's Joe. Welcome back to recap number 69. Giggity giggity. This week we're going to be covering A.S.P, Airstrike Patrol, Bugs Bunny Rabbit Rampage, Cheetah, Wild Wild Quest, Claymates, and Ninja Warriors. Let's get started. Airstrike Patrol. This is very akin to, boy, what the hell was that game? Desert Strike and Jungle Strike and Urban Strike. They were all isometric, like helicopter games. This game is not a helicopter game. You are flying an airplane around in the Gulf War, essentially bombing targets, occasionally fighting other airplanes that come into your view. This is, of course, obviously a menu HUD between missions, but the game's okay. It looked pretty decent for what it was. I felt like it was a little squished in. It was a little too close into the map. I would have liked a further out view because it made it kind of difficult to, I guess, see where you're going. And on that note, it was also kind of difficult to steer, and that's because of the isometric view. And I didn't realize that this clip that I pulled from the gameplay was this far back into the menu. For goodness sakes, here's the briefing before you take off. You don't get to take off and land in this game. It is just, you get a briefing and then you're airborne. And there's all these missions that give you different things. Generally, it's to bomb the hell out of something. At least all the missions that I played was bombing like oil lines or enemy silos or enemy Scud missile launchers. And the sound was okay. There was no music to speak of. The graphics were acceptable. Again, I think they were a little too zoomed out, and the control was a little wonky. The gameplay wasn't terrible, but in the end, I just didn't feel like it was a super fun flight game. Aiming's a little difficult because that reticle is where you're aiming. So there's me bombing like radar sites and then getting shot in the butt. I think my biggest complaint with this game, honestly, and this is probably a little unfair, is I had just played Turn and Burn No Fly Zone, and that was a really, really good cockpit simulation fighter game. And then to come into this third person view, where everything was kind of slow and it was just kind of jarring, I guess, and I didn't really care for it. That doesn't make it a bad game. I gave it a thumbs down. I could see some other people liking this game. I don't know. It just wasn't quite there for me. But thumbs down for Airstrike Patrol. Next up, Bugs Bunny and Rabbit Rampage. This was a licensed platformer with the Looney Tunes. I really had more hope than I should have coming into this. You can see the animations look really, really good. It was produced by Sunsoft, who I guess must have had the license for the Looney Tunes at this point, because they were also the ones responsible for the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote game that Joey and I played a long time ago. And much in the same way, this game looks great. It looks straight up out of, an old Looney Tunes cartoon. The animations are good. The backgrounds are good. It looks very, it is hand-drawn, I'm sure, to an extent. Everything looked great. The characters looked awesome. Like, you recognize them from the cartoons. The sounds and music were okay. The gameplay was awful. Just like the Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote game. The controls were really, really bad. Your jump and your hitboxes were awful. The enemies coming in off screen and respawning were just terrible. It was not fun to play because of that, which was real unfortunate. Again, the game looks top notch and just plays like a hot bag of flaming dog poop. So I'm gonna give a big thumbs down to Bugs Bunny and the Rabbit Rampage. Next up, a game I could not believe got a sequel. The first one was Chester Cheetah Too Cool to Fool. This is Chester Cheetah's Wild Wild Quest. So you are basically traveling across America to find parts of your map that have gone missing. So in every level, you have to find a piece of this map before you can move on. The game doesn't look awful, and the music is average at best. This just kind of like Bugs Bunny Rabbit Rampage. The gameplay falls down pretty flat. So you don't have an attack. You have to basically butt jump on top of guys, land on them. And I think in the third stage, it's a submarine. And the space that you have to land on this submarine is very tiny. And it took me forever to kill this stupid thing. Which basically goes to speak for everything in the game. Like, you have to jump on top of things, and it's very difficult to get there. Strangely, you can kind of like swim in the air, which is a little forgiving as far as like the platforming areas are concerned. But still, it really wasn't fun. It was just more aggravating than anything. I know we gave Too Cool to Fool a thumbs down, and Wild Quest did not fare much better. Again, I'm shocked that they made a second game, but I imagine Cheetos paid good money for it, and I feel that it probably wasn't worth it. So, thumbs down on that one. Next up is Claymates. This is a platformer where you're a kid who got turned into a ball of clay. In each level, you can find different colored clays to give you power-ups and turn you into other things. So there's one that like turns you into a rat, and you're really fast. And one that turns you into a cat, and you can like hit things with a ball of yarn, and then when you take a hit, you lose your ball. So you have like a claw swipe. And he can climb up and down walls. I think. Oh no, there's a fish. You can turn into a fish so you can swim really fast underwater. There are a couple others. I didn't see them. I don't think I ever found any of them because the game was actually pretty difficult. I don't care for the clay aesthetic that was for some reason the kind of a big deal at this stage in the 90s. Like there was Clay Fighter and Claymates and Clay Fighter Sculptor's Cut, and I think there was a couple others that were clay themed. I don't care for the graphical look. I do like the bright colors. We all know that. I mean, you've been watching the show for any amount of time. I like brightly colored games, but in the end, it was a very standard platformer. The levels got very maze-like. You had to run back and forth across it to get to the end of the screen because it's basically just to get to the end of the level platformer. And yeah, it just really wasn't that fun for me. I didn't particularly care for it, so I gave this a thumbs down. You know, some people really like that whole clay aesthetic, and for them, they would probably like this game. But I didn't care for it, and I didn't particularly care for the game all that much. Yeah, that's it. Just thumbs down for Claymates. Unfortunately, this is a bad week. Four thumbs down, but it is redeemed right here with Ninja Warriors. This is a single player. That's a thumbs down piece, or a mark on the bad side of the chalkboard there. Single player beat 'em up. You get 3 different characters you can play as. You're all androids. This is the human looking android. It looks like a girl in a ninja outfit, but when you die, you find out you are an android as you like blow up into pieces. And it's a very competent, if not maybe a little slow beat 'em up. It has about the same pace and speed, I feel, as like Final Fight, you know. It's not a fast moving game by any stretch, but it is very good looking. And you don't get a ton of attacks. You have your jump button and you have your attack essentially, and then you have a special. What I do appreciate about this game is you see my health bar there, the player blaster. Player is my health bar. It's that red line. And on the bottom is the special bar called the blaster bar, and it builds up over time as you beat up enemies. And if you get hit, you lose power or energy out of that. But once it gets full, you have access to your clear all attack, which clears the screen. And every character has a little bit of a different clear screen, I think, if I remember. But so that means, you know, the better you're doing, the more you reward, the sooner you get your clear all attacks, which is kind of a big deal. But the point is it doesn't take your health when you use it, which is always one of the most irritating things I find. Is like, oh, I get to use this cool special attack. Oh, but it eats your health. Much like every other beat 'em up, the bad guys are many palette swapped character. Like you'll see a lot of the same guys over and over again, just a different color scheme. The bosses, I can't say that they were super intriguing. I only fought, I think, 3 bosses. One of them was like this weird top hat laser shooting dude. Another one was like just a really big buff guy because it's a beat 'em up, you know. I feel certain I did fight another boss in there. There was a clear all attack. Uh, the music was good. It set the tone and the pace of the game. You could walk into people. If you walked up to people, you would immediately grab them, and then depending on like forward or backward, and the hit button is depending on what kind of throw you would do. Um, it was enjoyable. I played all 3 characters. I could definitely see the game being worth a play. It is one of those rare and extremely expensive games, unfortunately. So it's not likely to be one you ever end up with in your collection. If you have it, you're sitting on a small pile of gold, in my opinion. But it was really good and really enjoyable. Kind of like Sonic Blast Man, in so much as I don't play a lot of single player beat 'em ups that are good. Like Final Fight, I love Final Fight, but on the Super Nintendo it was one player and it just really ruined it. Sonic Blast Man was a real surprise in that it was a single player beat 'em up that was really fun to play, and Ninja Warriors is a lot like that. It may only be a single player beat 'em up, but God, it's put together and designed well and looks so good and is just good to play that I enjoyed it, and I think it's absolutely worth playing if you get a chance. Again, it's on the expensive side, so probably not worth going out and hunting down a copy to buy, but that's what you get. So thank you guys for tuning in for recap number 69. I appreciate y'all watching and continuing to hang out with me as I cruise through the Super Nintendo library of games. I have the next recap. I'll have Joey with me. He'll be back from college for summer, so he'll be on some games between now and then when he goes back to school in the fall. So that's exciting for us. But that's it. So thank you guys very much. I'll see y'all later, and peace out.